It's late July 1971 at the Aral Sea. On the deck of a biological research vessel, Lev Berg, a 24-year-old marine biologist, casts nets to collect plankton and fish. In the distance, some 15 kilometers away, she can see the coast of Vozrozhdeniya Island. People live there, but no one ever comes in contact with them. The island is a restricted area, the property of the Soviet military. The locals don't know what kind of military facility it is, only that no one is allowed to go anywhere near the island. The young scientists could only wonder, watching from a distance, what kind of secret the island and its people hide. Soon she would learn that Vozrozhdeniya was off limits for a good reason. A week after she traveled near the island, the scientist fell ill. Once she returned home to Aralsk, the largest town on the coast of the Aral Sea, she developed a high fever. Her illness raised the alarm locally and escalated Moscow's highest political circles. The disease she carried was one of the most terrifying. The military facility at Vozrozhdeniya Island was anything but ordinary. There were no reports of loud explosions, rocket launches, or the usual that one might expect from the mighty Red Army. Instead, it was home to a secret biological weapon testing site. At the time, the Soviet Union had an extensive biological weapons program. The head of the program was the notorious chief of the secret police, known as the NKVD, Lavrentiy Beria. Apart from commanding the Soviet biological weapon program, Beria was also in charge of the atomic bomb project. Under his leadership, the Soviet Union developed a sophisticated biological weapon program, primarily as a response to a similar program developed by the United States. Like most things related to Soviet military efforts, the biological weapons project was shrouded in mystery. Apart from the Central Research Institute in Kirov, there were research facilities in Sverdlovsk, present-day Yekaterinburg, and Zargosk, present-day Sergeyev Posad. In addition, field tests were conducted at several locations, with the one at Vozrozhdeniya Island being among the most important. First tests took place on the island in 1936 and 1937, before the Second World War. In these tests, the military studied the effects of different anti-personnel pathogens that cause cholera, dysentery, leprosy, paratyphus, plague, tetanus, typhus, and bioagents targeting livestock. In the early years of the Cold War, field tests resumed. By 1954, a large complex named Aralsk 7 was built. It comprised of military barracks, a field scientific research laboratory with high containment facilities, and a small village called Kantubek, where facility personnel and their families lived. Far downwind from this complex was a vast open-air test range spreading over 100 square kilometers. Here, scientists and military personnel carried out pathogen tests that caused feared diseases like anthrax, tularemia, brucellosis, Q fever, and Venezuelan equine encephalitis. Moreover, tests on Vozrozhdeniya Island included the most potent recipes of weaponized smallpox. Tested agents were dispersed by exploding bombs through aerosol sprayers. On and above the ground, detectors measured the level of pathogen dispersion. Large animals like horses, donkeys, and sheep, and smaller animals like mice, guinea pigs, and hamsters were brought to Vozrozhdeniya Island as test subjects. The Soviets even imported hundreds of Hamadryas baboons from Africa, species closely related to humans. The test range was positioned on the southernmost part of the island, and since the winds blew from north to south, all tested bioagents ended up in the Aral Sea. With the closest downwind coastline being 125 kilometers away, there was little risk that any pathogens would reach the mainland. Additionally, no ship was allowed within a 40-kilometer perimeter as a precaution.
Really quick, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, NordVPN. Browsing the internet has changed, and in 2022, there have never been more rules and regulations surrounding how you browse the internet. As a fan of dark history, you deserve to have the true power of browsing at your fingertips. Entertainment is segmented by country, with each geographical location containing different sets of content you can watch. NordVPN bundles this service together, providing a secure and completely private browsing experience. Nobody needs to know just how much disaster documentaries you are addicted to. Your secrets are safe with Nord. On top of surfing privacy, Nord allows you to access even more documentary content, not always available in your current location. Assume the identity of somebody from Nepal, or watch videos from a beach in Mexico. Using NordVPN allows you to simulate your location to be anywhere in the world. Go to nordvpn.com/darkhistory or click the link in the description to get an exclusive discount on the 2-year plan plus the free anti-malware. And you too can pretend you are watching from anywhere in the world. It's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee.
Smallpox is one of the most terrible diseases known to man. It is highly contagious and attacks membranes of the mouth, throat, and respiratory tract, from where it spreads through the entire body. Victims then develop blisters across their whole body. On average, 3 out of every 10 that are infected die. In the 20th century alone, smallpox killed up to 300 million people. By the 1950s, the virus was eliminated in North America and Europe, but cases were still occurring in South America, Asia, and Africa. In response, a massive vaccination program started in 1967. Finally, the World Health Organization declared the world free of smallpox in 1980.
July 15, 1971, Lev Berg left the port of Aralsk for a 24-day research journey. It reached the island's vicinity 2 weeks later, on July 30th, allegedly entering the restricted area and passing only 15 kilometers away from the island. According to a deputy chief of the Red Army General Staff, General Pyotr Burgasov, the Army was testing biological weapons at that time. 400 grams of an exclusive smallpox recipe had just been dropped at the test range. The explosion of the virus bomb spread the pathogen, reaching the biologist on Lev Berg's deck. On August 6, the biologist felt the first symptoms of the disease, a fever accompanied by headache and muscle aches. Upon returning to Aralsk on August 11, she immediately went home to be taken care of by her mother. A general practitioner who visited her noted she had a high fever of 39 degrees Celsius and prescribed her aspirin and antibiotics. After the fever broke, a rash appeared on her face, scalp, and back. Luckily, she recovered quickly, primarily because she was vaccinated against smallpox. 2 weeks after the biologist came home, her younger brother fell ill. He as well had a fever and a skin rash. His initial treatment included tetracycline antibiotics and aspirin, but it didn't stop the virus from spreading. At first, the physicians didn't consider smallpox because the Soviets eradicated it a decade ago. 8 more people got infected, 6 adults ages 24 to 60 and 2 children. A viral swab confirmed the presence of the smallpox virus. Antibody tests performed in the Institute for Viral Preparations in Moscow also showed an increased level of antibodies to smallpox. Interestingly, no other crew member from the Lev Berg got infected. Of the 10 infected residents, 1 adult and 2 less than a year-old infants developed a highly lethal hemorrhagic form of the disease and died. None of them were vaccinated against smallpox, whereas the vaccinated marine biologists and remaining individuals recovered. When General Burgasov heard of the infections, he knew the cause since he was familiar with the tests conducted at Aralsk 7. The general then informed the chief of the general staff and asked the trains traveling from the Kazakh capital of Alma-Ata to Moscow should not be allowed to stop at Aralsk. The health authorities were quick to react by completely sealing Aralsk. No one was allowed to enter or leave the town. A couple of hundred residents who had direct contact with the virus were isolated in a tent city. The entire population of nearly 50,000 was vaccinated in just 2 weeks. 5,000 square meters of living space and 18 metric tons of household goods were disinfected. KGB chief Yuri Andropov, who Burgasov informed of his doubts, ordered him not to speak to anyone else about it.
Disclosing the incident would have undoubtedly caused panic in the country. More importantly, it would reveal the details of the Soviet top-secret biological weapons program. The incident was circumstantial evidence that the virus had been enhanced and hardened to maintain its infectivity after dispersion as an aerosol, even after traveling downwind over at least 15 kilometers. The Soviets perfected the airborne delivery of the virus by spreading it using aerial bombs, a far more effective method than person-to-person transmission. In addition, many bioagents were genetically altered to resist heat, cold, and antibiotics in the following years. The 1971 smallpox break incident was a lone case that resulted in minimal casualties, even though there was an objective threat to infect the entire region. Nevertheless, the secret facility continued testing biological weapons. Until its closure, there were no records of similar incidents. Not officially, that is. A year after the 1971 incident, 2 fishermen went missing. Their bodies were found in the boat drifting in the middle of the Aral Sea. They were suspected of dying from the plague. Then, in May of 1988, 50,000 Saiga antelopes died in a short period. The cause of death remained unknown. On April 10, 1972, the Soviet Union signed and agreed to completely ban, quote, microbial or other biological agents or toxins, whatever their origin or method of production, of types and in quantities that have no justification for prophylactic, protective, or other peaceful purposes, and on weapons, equipment, or means of delivery. 77 other countries signed the convention, including the United States. However, the Soviets doubted the United States' compliance with the convention and subsequently ramped up their biowarfare program. It became a massive effort with dozens of secret sites employing up to 65,000 people. The Aralsk 7 facility continued its work until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. By that time, the water level of the Aral Sea had dropped drastically after its water supply had been rerouted to irrigate fields. Therefore, the island grew 10 times in size and became a peninsula connected to the mainland. The former island's territory is split between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, 2 countries that declared independence from the Soviet Union. In November 1991, the Aralsk 7 facility was officially closed. The entire infrastructure was abandoned, including the village of Kantubek, which became a ghost town. What's left behind are cache pits with anthrax slurry and mass graveyards with the infected remains of thousands of test animals. As was the case in 1971, residents still stay clear of the site. It only reminds them of a time when a devastating secret weapon nearly wiped them out.
Watch this episode next if you found this video interesting. Please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.